Some big news has just recently dropped about the future of Stephen Colbert, as he's revealing that when he gets cancelled by CBS in May, that's not necessarily going to be the end of him in the entertainment industry. In fact, there's quite a secret project that's coming out with him and Peter Jackson. Now, what exactly this is? Well, let's go ahead and have these two gentlemen discuss it for you so you can get a better idea from the horse's mouth.
Oh, actually, why don't I get somebody else to explain it? Because we've got a very special partner that we're working with, and you can see for yourself. Hang on. There we go. Hello.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, Stephen. Hi. How are you?
How are you doing?
Good. I like all your Tolkien stuff on the wall there. That's that's
Oh,
hard.
thanks. This is
Hardcore.
just part of the collection.
So I was just explaining to the folks about the next Tolkien movie after Hunt for Gollum, and the fact that we've partnered up with you to develop the script. So
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. Shall I tell people what the story is?
as much as you want. Yep.
I will, as much as I can. You know what the books mean to me and what your films mean to me. But the thing I found myself reading over and over again were the 6 chapters early on in the Fellowship that y'all never developed into the first movie back in the day. It's basically the chapter is Three is Company through Fog on the Barrow Downs. And I thought, oh, wait, maybe that could be its own story that could fit into the larger story. Could we make something that was completely faithful to the books while also being completely faithful to the movies that you guys had already made? And I started talking it over with my son, Peter, who's also a screenwriter, and we worked out what we thought would work, especially as a framing device for that story. And it took me a few years to scrape my courage into a pile to give you a call, but about 2 years ago I did. You liked it enough to talk to me about it, and ever since then, the two of us have been working with the brilliant Philippa Boyens on how to develop this story. And we recently took it to Richard Brenner at New Line and Pam Abdy and Mike DeLuca at Warner Brothers, and I could not be happier to say that they loved it. And so that's what we're going to be working on.
Fantastic. Now, are you sure you've got the time though? Because
That I did not think I would have the time. As much as I love it, I knew I couldn't do that and do the show at the same time. But it turns out I'm going to be free starting this summer.
isn't that fortunate?
Isn't that a you catastrophe right there? So if you'll excuse me, I've got to finish a television show and I've got to write a movie script, but I will see you all in the Shire.
Okay. Alrighty. Bye. See you, Stephen.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Peter.
Bye.
So, no one can deny that Stephen Colbert is a massive Lord of the Rings fan. I mean, if you go to this Variety article here, they do an excellent job of breaking down each time that he was part of either the Hobbit trilogy or he had some interactions with one of the Hobbit stars or whether he was with Liv Tyler. The man has been in Lord of the Rings, part of this fandom for a very long time, and he's very book smart when it comes to Lord of the Rings. So that is not necessarily the issue here that I personally have with it. I'm sure if we were just going to be doing an encyclopedia of Lord of the Rings, I'm sure he'd be fine to write something like that out. My issue is that Stephen Colbert, I don't really think the story that he wants to tell needs to be told. The story that he's going to be telling, the story that they want to tell, is going to be the story with Tom Bombadil and the Hobbits' journey there, where they're slowly transferring from their time in the Shire into this grander epic adventure where the Hobbits really have the first taste of danger and trouble that's ahead of them upon the road. And do we really need to have that story told? I don't think so. It's kind of the same thing that we have going on here with the Hunt of Gollum that Peter Jackson is going to be telling. Like, do we need this Hunt for Gollum story that is really just Gandalf and Aragorn tracking down Gollum, getting the information from what he revealed to Mordor, and Mordor, that's where we get hobbits and Shire from, and they know where to go hunt for Frodo. That's all they get from Gollum, and they go hunt him down. We saw that in the Fellowship of the Ring, which is fine, but do we really need this? I mean, I love Peter Jackson. Don't get me wrong. Peter Jackson gave us the greatest trilogy of all time, The Lord of the Rings. He came and stepped into The Hobbit partway into that production after the first movie was made. He came in to save it. He did the best he could. I still haven't seen the Battle of the Five Armies because I don't see a point of it. The Battle of the Five Armies is only a few chapters at the end of the Hobbit book. I don't understand why it's a film. I'll never see it because I don't see a point for it existing. Just me personally there. But we have to remember that Peter Jackson, as of late, he's kind of been hitting some rough patches here. For example, when we had Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohan, that film I saw in theaters the first week it came out. Not a whole lot of people went to go see it. It wasn't that great of a film. They had the main character be Ham Hammerhand's daughter, who Helm Hammerhand is the guy who gave Helm's Deep his name. He was supposed to be this badass warrior, but we shifted the focus from him and we put it onto this daughter that was completely made up. And the film just wasn't that great. And from what we have here from the explanation is that Peter Jackson did have some influence on the film. He wasn't there, he wasn't controlling it, but he did have some influence. And that makes me concerned for the history and future of the show. Now, if you go to social media, you have longtime fans like Nerdrotic, who is a major Lord of the Rings fan, concerned about there, coming out and just saying, fuck no, right off the bat. And personally, that's my feelings too. We don't need this particular section of the story told. I don't trust the ideology of Stephen Colbert. As I said, Stephen Colbert, if this was an encyclopedia, would be great. If you just want to flip through some stories of Lord of the Rings, see how it ties into Beren Luthien, how it ties into Numenorians, how this goes back to Morgoth, how the One Ring is just a continuation of the diminishing of magic, how it's a symbolism for greater evil. All that is great to have within this world if you want to go for it. But I don't think Stephen Colbert is the one to really get into this. I think that plays a part in my apprehension of hearing him go be in this process of making a film. I'm concerned if Peter Jackson still has that ability to make an epic story that is faithful to the material without putting in their ideology. Because one of my favorite things from Peter Jackson is saying that we wanted to tell Tolkien's story. We didn't want to tell our story. We wanted to tell his story. That gets a bit more difficult when you don't have the dialogue from the author when you're doing the Hunt for Gom. That gets a bit more difficult when you have such an ideological bent person like Stephen Colbert. Don't forget that Stephen Colbert, during COVID, came out with this particular clip.
The vaccine.
So the man himself is definitely ideological bent. The question is, how much is that going to show? Does he have the same zeal as Peter Jackson that I'm not going to put my own political ideology into it? We're just going to tell Tolkien's. I personally really doubt that. But I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Will this be a great film? And I being just a little bit too apprehensive, does Peter Jackson still have what it takes to be a phenomenal film writer and tell a fantastic story? Or is this all going to be crashing down like a house of cards? Not to mention that he's going to be doing this with Warner Bros., who was just bought out by Paramount, who owns CBS that just fired him. So how's this going to work out? Well, it's going to be a wonderful train wreck. I can't wait to hear what you guys got to say. Leave a like if you like the video, leave a dislike if you did not, and don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe. Y'all take care now. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.